Are you struggling to find a place to see all of the cards that are assigned to you in Trello all in one place? That's what this week's video is going to be about. It was inspired by a question that I received in response to my Trello Tuesdays email, and I think it's a really good one because, especially with all of the changes that have been happening in Trello lately, this is a little bit harder to find. So, I'm going to show you guys how to set up a workspace view if you're in a premium Trello workspace. But if you're not, if you're in a free or standard workspace, don't worry, I've got something for you too. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, so I do unfortunately have to start with just a little bit of bad news, and that is in regards to checklist items that have been assigned to you. So if you are in a premium workspace and you're going to be doing the workspace views that I'm talking about, there's no way to bring in checklist items that are assigned to you into your workspace view. This is also not available in the option that I'm going to show for free workspaces. It's just not available at all. The only place where you will actually see your checklist items appear is on a calendar view. So if you are looking at a calendar view of a particular board, it will appear. And if you have the calendar power up, the free calendar power up on your board, they will appear. But that's only for one board, which kind of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do here, which is seeing all of your things that are assigned to you across the workspace. So this is one of those things, I feel like it's a pretty big miss for Trello to not have this capability. I have asked all of my Trello gurus and nobody knows a workaround or a way to bring this in. So maybe somebody will develop something for this. Maybe Trello will start bringing it in. I don't know. Either way, just wanted to set that up front that you cannot bring in checklist items. So if you need to bring in cards that have checklist items that are assigned to you, just make sure you're assigned to the card as well, and it'll show up in your view, and then you can drill down from there. So if you are in a premium workspace and you want to do a workspace view, you're going to come here to the board switcher, and then you're going to need to select the workspace itself. So you're going to see a default here to all workspaces, which is great if you're using starred boards like I do. But for workspace views, as it says in the name, you have to be in the workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and click here onto my workspace, and then I can simply collapse the board view and all the workspace views appear. Now, as I said at the beginning of this video, this tutorial was inspired by Paula, who responded to one of my recent Trello Tuesday emails. So I had created this for her. I had done a loom just for her, but, I just started thinking about it. I'm like, I've seen a lot of questions lately about where do my workspace views go and can I use them still and all that stuff. So it inspired a full tutorial. So I did create a workspace view here sample for Paula, but let's go ahead and actually create a brand new one. So when you come here to Workspace Views, you'll see any that you already have, but then when you hover over Workspace Views all by itself, you're going to see this little plus sign. And here's where you have the option to create your workspace view. And you can do this in a table view, so basically like a spreadsheet, or you can do this in a calendar view. Now, honestly, I've seen people use it either way. It really just depends on what it is that you're looking for. So let's go ahead and do it in the table view for this one, but just know that it works the same in the calendar view. So let me go ahead and title my workspace view. Okay, and then you have the ability to change the visibility here. So you can either make this a completely private workspace view or visible to other people in your workspace. So let's just go ahead with workspace visible. And then from here, you're going to see that it's going to ask you what boards do you want to include on this. So typically, I think you want to start with your recent boards because the idea being that if you use them often, those are probably the ones where you're tagged on things. But you can always add more boards if you need to. You can come in here and manually choose which boards you want. I have not seen a way to just automatically select everything, but you probably won't need that. Most people have a handful of boards that they're really working in on a regular basis. And most people are not crazy like me and have all of these boards. So you can go ahead and select however many boards you need, and then go ahead and filter it down right here to cards assigned to me. And then you're going to create view. And then you're going to see your view is right here. And you can further filter this down by saying, only the ones that are not marked complete. So if you say that filter, then you're only going to see the ones that are still pending your actions, right? You can filter it even further, things that are coming due soon or things that are already overdue and all that great stuff. And then you can simply save your workspace view. And then that way, when you need to see this again, you can go in the same way that we started to create it and find your workspace view. Now, if that's too many clicks to go find that, which I understand because I don't personally really use this that much, but for people who do, I understand that that became a little bit more painful when they moved it in the navigation. So all you need to do is bookmark your view right here, and it'll be available to you in your browser at one click, right? You also have the option of just grabbing this URL and then coming into your inbox. And you could even add a card here where you simply link directly to your workspace view. So again, no matter what board you're on, easy access, right? So there's a couple of ways that you can reduce the clicks if you're going to be using workspace views. But let's just say that you're in a standard or a free workspace and you're starting to think, well, crud, does that mean that I don't get access to any of this? Well, no, as far as the official workspace views, but this is where one of my favorite free power-ups comes into play, and that would be the Dashcards. You can see a couple of them here on my template board. You can create Dashcards on your primary board, whichever one you use the most, that will act in a similar way. So we're going to come in here to Dashcards. This is what the power-up looks like when it's in the bar up here. So we're going to click on this. And we're going to say, okay, I want to look at, actually, they have a template for it right here. Assigned to me on all workspace boards. So you can go ahead and let's go ahead and customize it. We like the name, that's fine. We might want to change the background, but I kind of like that. It's motivational, it's inspirational. We're going to say here on any board, any list includes you, right? So you will default here. But then let's think about some of the filters we had on the other workspace view. We wanted things that weren't already complete. So we're going to come in here and say, no, it is not complete. Okay. And then we're going to say that it is coming due this week. So this is how we're going to filter this down so that we get the same type of view as we got in the workspace view. So let's go ahead and start tracking. It's going to automatically default here to the main list. I'm not sure why it's not coming up with anything. That's interesting because when we were looking at it elsewhere, it was coming up with stuff. So let's see if we can figure out why that might be happening. I'm going to go ahead and edit the filters, and let's go ahead and take away this filter because maybe it's just stuff that is due in the future. And I'm also going to remove the completed because maybe that's part of the problem too. I want to see as much here as we can. So assigned to me on all workspace boards. Interesting that we're only seeing these two things because I know that there's more. Hold please, let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, so we're going to check and make sure what workspace. Oh, look at that. We're not in the same workspace that we were in before. So that's why all of the things that we saw coming up for those filters in my primary workspace, we're not seeing them here, right? So let's go ahead and actually go to my premium board so that even though you don't need to be premium to do this, we can see kind of a apples to apples comparison here, okay? So we're going to go ahead into Dashcards again. We're going to see assigned to me on all workspace boards. Let's go ahead and customize it. I can already tell it's more. See, 149 things. Okay, well, we're definitely going to filter this down, right? So we're going to say due this week. And we're also going to add back that filter for not complete. Why is that not clicking? Oh, it did already. See, I was expecting it to check the box, right? Weren't you? So it's not going to check the box. It's going to make it blue. And that's how you know that's what's selected. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start tracking 7. That looks a little bit better, right? That's closer to what we saw in the workspace view. In fact, it's the exact same as what we saw in the workspace view. So then we're going to come into the card itself. And we can see all of the tasks that are due, okay? All of the things that showed up on our workspace view are right here, and you can easily just click through and go to any one of them. You also have the ability to hit Explore and Edit in Dashcards, and now you're also viewing it in that same kind of table view that we had in the workspace view. You also have the ability to export from Dashcards. So really, you've got all of the same functionality here in this free Dashcard power-up that you were getting in that workspace view. You're just not getting the calendar view. So if that is something that's really important to you, then yeah, you're not going to get that with Dashcards. I hope this helps you be a little bit more organized and stay on top of all the things that are on your plate, even if they're not all in the same board. The online tools for your business do not need to be complicated and overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy. I hope that you liked that video, and more importantly, that you found it helpful. And if you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with a fellow solopreneur. And make sure that you check out the description for links for how we can connect and maybe even work together.